Thanks, Elijah. Hey, thanks for turning out, you guys. Show of hands, how many of you guys are in from out of town? Woo! Welcome to Austin. And how many of you have a social business of your own that you're thinking about or that you're active in? Okay, excellent. Glad to see that. Well, thank you for joining our panel. We are the business case for social good. So you've heard wonderful presentations today about why social good is so important and why we're embracing it as a worldwide community. And the question is there a business case, a profitable case for social good? And that's what we're going to explore today from 3 different perspectives. To my left is Scott Collier, who is the managing director of Pasadena Capital, which helps facilitate impact investing. And then we have over here Jason, who's from the Jobs Act. He was one of the co-founders of the Jobs Act, the co-writers of the Jobs Act, which recently legalized crowdfunding. And what's so incredible is after 78 years of regulation, he got that passed in 460 days and democratizes funding, so very exciting. And finally, we have Julie Niehoff from Constant Contact. Now, most of you know Constant Contact is the email marketing company, but what you may not know is that they're incredibly active in education for small businesses and nonprofits. And so she's going to talk about that. I do want to set the context. As a nation, we tend to go, the pendulum tends to swing from me to we, then back to me. And right now we're in a we phase where we care a lot about social good, which enables this kind of event that's happening today and these kinds of events that Mashable talked about that's happening worldwide. And our millennial population of folks that are entering the workforce are demanding that there is purpose to their business, and they're starting up new businesses that are purpose-based and mission-based. And so what I would like our panelists to do today is to spend just a few minutes from your perspective and talk to us about the business case for social good.
So I think, you know, from I look mostly at the investor side of the conversation because having spent time in venture capital, private equity, it's about facilitating investments to meet the investor's objectives. And so when you talk about social impact investing, you're now saying, okay, in addition to the traditional metrics of what kind of financial return am I going to get, what kind of liquidity might I see in the future on this investment, and what sort of risk am I going to take to achieve those things. Those are sort of the 3 legs of traditional investing, the traditional investing stool. We're now saying it's time to add that 4th component that really has always been there of, you know, I want to be investing at least not to do harm to things that I don't want to see happen. Or I don't want to do harm in the world, or I don't want to do harm in my community, or I don't want to do harm in the environment. And so now it's like, let's shift it to what kind of positive social impacts do I want to see happen with my investment decisions. And that's everything from an individual level to an institutional level.
Thank you. I'm with Constant Contact, and we are teaching and training 35,000 small businesses and nonprofits in the US, the UK, and in Canada every month right now. And when I started 7 years ago, there were 3 of us teaching, and we were excited if we got 12 people to show up at a Starbucks to learn not about Constant Contact, but about how to grow your business, how to market, what that really means. And then as social media has emerged as something that cannot be ignored by small business or by nonprofits, we started to realize it was important to teach people, and we started bringing more people in to teach. And what happened was sort of a natural, organic thing where it turned into a social good project, even though it's good for business. We started to realize that it felt good to teach people how to grow their business or how to grow their nonprofit. And the staff started asking, can I be part of that? Can I be part of that? And we had a lot more people start showing up because it felt good. And natural progression of that is that the business grew. And we were happy to see that it happened naturally. One of the things that we teach in our classes is that you help first and you sell second. And it's sort of an eating our own dog food thing, where we started to actually see the benefits of what we were telling people to do and growing the business by giving away knowledge, giving away education. All of our education is free. And what I love is that all we really want in the world is to matter, to know that what we've done accomplished something, contributed something. Even if you're working to make money, you're doing that as an outgrowth of wanting to matter. And I say every day when someone asks me what I do for a living that I'm a teacher, And I feel like I work at a nonprofit even though I'm at a publicly traded company because what we're doing is good. And it only works if it's authentically good. It only works if you show up to help first and sell second. So to me, that's what the social good component of business is to be authentically there to be the help or to be doing something good. And if, as an outgrowth of that, you see business grow, that's a bonus, that's extra.
Thank you. Jason.
Well, I guess from my perspective, coming from the crowdfunding perspective, really, it's about how to use crowdfunding as a way to demonstrate value in your social business, in your business that is focused on social good. A lot of times, I think sometimes traditional investors may be hesitant to make investments in social businesses or things that are there for social good because they think they're trading away some of their returns because you're doing good. I think that there's been a lot of evidence that demonstrates the opposite is true. And so the opportunity here really is to use crowdfunding as a way to utilize your social network and your communities, the different communities you participate in, not just geographic, but also interest and origin and others, to generate that amount of capital you need to get off the ground, get started, do an expansion, prove your business has opportunities to succeed, prove you have a customer and you can deliver, and generate returns that should interest investors. So I think there's absolutely an opportunity there.
Thank you. If I could just say for a minute, Volunteer Spot is my company, and we have grown to 2.5 million users by making it easy for people to self-organize volunteers in their local communities. But we're a for-profit company, and we raised funding just this last summer, some significant funding, and it has been very interesting talking to investors because they didn't get us. They didn't understand how there could be a volunteer in our name and a profit motive and profit margin in the company. And so we're really excited to be moving forward. And the reason that is because we aggregate affluent, influential women and activators in local communities who are doing the good. So we have a way to reach populations that are very desirable for brands. So for us, and we're still a startup, we're still very much a startup, but we're growing quickly. But my question is for you guys, what hang-ups do you see for companies that are pursuing a social business model?
Hang-ups from the perspective of the business or from the perspective of?
From the perspective of the business, what obstacles do you see or what hang-ups do you see for social businesses?
Well, there's certainly an obstacle just inherently in spending your time doing good when you're supposed to be spending your time creating profit for a business. And I sit on that fence all day, every day in my role. Happily, it turns out that if you really are showing up and doing the good and you're measuring, so you truly are marketing at the same time, if you're measuring, this worked, do more of that, this didn't work so well, stop doing that, and you're not just measuring the dollars, but you're measuring the response. You're measuring what people thought of their experience with you or whether you had real impact. When you start to measure, then you can make a difference and make money at the same time. And it really comes down to, are you using tools that let you measure, any tools, whether it's for marketing or your finances or whatever.
I would just maybe add to that. I think that's right. And it really means, I think if, on the one hand, businesses look at the social impact they may have and say, look, this increases my cost structure or my cost of doing business because I'm making choices based not just on what's the most economic, but what social impact my business specifically is going to have. But I think the ones that succeed are the ones that really can turn it to their competitive advantage and say, well, because of the nature of my social impact, I may be more attractive to brands, for your example, Karen. I think it's, and that's really the opportunity, and that's where it's fun to work with social entrepreneurs because they get this notion that their social mission is a differentiator. And in competitive markets, it's all about market differentiation. And so if you can engage your customer base in aligning with your social mission, you've got a winning strategy there that, you know, is a strong differentiator.
And just to get concrete for a minute, we are in Austin, Texas, the home of Whole Foods, who has done that very, very well. And you know, we can also think of many other brands that add a social component to what they're doing. So Jason, specifically, what role do you think crowdfunding will play in the role of bringing together more social businesses in the future?
Well, our belief is that crowdfunding is a way to generate, you know, hundreds or thousands of new businesses as soon as it's permitted by the SEC. We're currently in the rule writing phase right now and hoping that that gets done very soon. and that by the end of this year, that people will be able to raise money through crowdfunding, whether that's equity or debt. Obviously, for donation-based crowdfunding, that's permitted today. I'm sure we've all contributed to Kickstarter or a Rocket Hub or other campaigns. And I think that for a lot of social businesses who have a product to sell, that can be an interesting way to kind of do a test of your product to see if there's a real market for it. On the equity and debt side, I think that the opportunity there is to really be able to, again, you're able to demonstrate to people that may not believe that there's a product, they may not believe there's a market, that you can go there and find your community and connect with that community and launch that business. I think there's a huge opportunity. We really believe that there'll be thousands of new businesses. And the work that we've done, we did some research. We co-founded a crowdfunding institute at UC Berkeley and did some research on kind of market sizing. You guys may have seen some of the data that Fred Wilson of Union Square Ventures said $300 billion a year. He's an important VC. He gets to say things like that. We did with some market sizing and came with a number that's more modest, more closer to $4 billion a year, which is still a lot of money. And if you look at all the money that VCs put to work last year, it's about $27 billion. So to be able to put about 15% of that to work in the very near term for businesses, many of which will be social, is a lot of impact.
Thank you. So let me ask you guys about trends. Are we peaking here, or are mission-based businesses here to stay? And are we going to be seeing more mission-based businesses in the future?
I mean, I think we're just beginning. It feels like a very nascent sector. I've attended social capital markets conferences since 2009, and just the attendance rate and the level of energy at a conference like that, I think, is a measure of sort of how early we are in the whole social enterprise movement. And when I say social enterprise, that ranges from enterprises that may have a blended model where they're maybe raising some donation, they may be nonprofit, they may sell some products, all the way to pure for-profit enterprises that are raising investor capital to make money but also do some social good. And the whole the capital markets behind enabling them and supporting those businesses feels like it's at very early stages.
I really think that, yeah, definitely at the early stage, and definitely aligned with a lot of demographic trends that are taking place today. I feel like, we sort of started out being very small sort of settings, moved into larger settings where people talk about social business and social good. Now you're seeing it more mainstream conferences. There's like a section about social business. I think that soon you'll begin to see whole tracks about that. And pretty soon, we will make it to the point where it's just sort of part of the general conversation and not its own special thing, just a part of the way that business is done.
Yep. And we are also seeing in our business that because of the shift with millennials coming to the workplace and really caring about how they spend their time and their energy and whether they are having an impact in the world, if you want to be in business in 10 years, you've got to have something to grab the good talent, because the good talent also has the option to find companies that are doing social good while they're making a buck. So beyond the business case and even beyond the customers, it's about staff that wants to be there and wants to help you grow whatever the business model is.
Fantastic. Now, we are here in Austin at the same time that South by Southwest is happening. Very quickly, would anyone like to talk about the impact that technology has on enabling social businesses?
I'd like to say something really quick. It's so nice to use the word social and not just be talking about Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter. And because social is interaction, it is human, it is me to you, you to me interaction. And just because many times there's a screen between us doesn't mean that you've removed the interaction of humans. So I am so excited to be at an event where social and the word social is being used for people interacting with people and helping other people. So that's a big win for me over technology.
The interesting thing for me is in the past South Bys is that there's always been the app that was launched, the kind of like the biggest app that was launched here, and that was always kind of the marker of what the conference was about. It seems to be there are a lot of apps here now, and apps are sort of things that are launched, and that's great, but really people are beginning to look at kind of these bigger trends and these bigger opportunities for bring this many people together who can drive a lot of impact globally. Then let's do something really big together. So some really big conversations are happening, which is really exciting. The thing that for me, the thing I'm looking forward to next year is This year, still, really, your impact at an event, your impact at South by is measured by friends and retweets and fans and kind of a lot of social interactivity that's technical. What'll be great next year, frankly, is for these companies, your success will be measured by how much investment you raise from the crowd. The ability to actually crowdfund at South by and to be able to engage people both technically and face-to-face in your brand, in your business, in your mission, so that they want to invest. And that's really exciting to me because this is a kind of a side, not quite on topic, but all of this, and this is really important in the social space, I think, it all comes down to trust and relationships. And that's why people are on your social network. That's why they make investments. That's why angels or VCs invest, because they trust you and they think that you're going to execute. And so all of the technology that we have is simply a way to make that happen.
Thank you. And we're just proud to be here as part of GoodxGlobal, and we're so happy that we were able to take on the topic of social businesses. So our hope is that you'll go out and start some social businesses of your own. Thank you very much.